of human trafficking. It's a record 288 people arrested.
They're not reporting the real numbers.
The numbers are segmented and they are fictitious.
I started my career in 1997 in the United States Border Patrol. It was one of the most violent times in recent Border Patrol history. I made my bones and my reputation on that border. I believe what is happening on the border today is intentional.
We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them.
Our own government is facilitating the absolute destruction of the American immigration system, and I can prove it point by point. I'm unafraid to speak the truth. This is just data-driven and experience-driven.
Welcome to Truth with JJ Carrell. I have an incredible guest today, and I'm going to give him the whole hour of our show, and if it bleeds over, then we'll go into the vault. But this is exactly what we have been talking about for months now as I've had my show on Worldview Tube. What am I talking about? Well, before I tell you who he is and what we're going to talk about, our belief here is we trust no one. We trust no one and we question everything. Let me give you two examples of how we've been propagandized. Okay, one's in the past, so somewhat, and one is absolutely current today. The past is, hey, the pyramids were built by illiterate, uneducated, and malnutrition slaves. Oh, okay, and the pyramids were built just in Egypt, and nowhere else on earth do we find pyramids of that size. And they were built for tombs for pharaohs. Okay, and we've been told that since, heck, I can remember looking at these books in quote, history class in first or second grade and been propagandized our whole life. Well, now we find out that, hey, do you know we don't have a crane, not one crane currently that can lift one block, one, from a quarry that was 500 miles away. And now we find out there's cylinders going 2,000 meters into the earth, into another piece of structure that's the size of the football field, two of them. So that's been debunked. We have no idea. We've been lied to, been propagandized. Let's look at one that's happening today, the transgender ideology movement. Why do they have to stand or have to propagate this in children, in schools? Why is it so important? Because that's where the propaganda begins. That's where the indoctrination begins. And then within 2 generations, we will all believe that men can have babies and that you can choose whatever gender you want. You can mutilate your body. It doesn't matter what your DNA is, doesn't matter what your chromosomes are. It's what you feel is what you are, and that will become reality. You don't think that's true? Look at the pyramids. Look at the AIDS virus. Look at COVID. Look at the moon landing. Look at everything. Everything. Just like I teach my 13-year-old son, we question everything, even your own father. I want you to question and fact check me, son. So what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about a subject that makes people's heads spin. And it has made my head spin for the last probably 90 days as I've kind of fallen into this and started to dig in. And that's the flat earth theory. I know I can hear it already. What in God's name are you talking about? The more you listen, the more questions you have, and then the questions that you have, you begin to answer, and you start to say the same thing as we do about the pyramids. That can't be true. That can't be true. I'm going to show you a quick video before I bring our guest in, Dave Weiss, called Flat Earth Dave. I don't know if he likes that name, but that's what he's been given on the internet, and we'll talk to him. He is the premier, prominent guy that is the expert on this. I think I've been scouring the internet on this topic for a long time, and he keeps coming up in all my feeds, and everyone that I trust, like Ryan Matta, say, nope, this is the guy you got to speak to. Go ahead, Caleb. Let's play this short clip as an introduction to our guest.
You piss off a baby, you take its ball away, right? Not much difference between a grown man, because your entire world is based around this. Now, what they don't want us to understand is that we are these incredible, powerful beings. We're in this realm. We're part of this living system. The moon controls women's menstrual cycles. The sun controls men's cycles. Where the sun and the sun and the moon, the sun is electric and the earth is magnetic and we are electromagnetic. We live in this incredible realm at the center of creation. This place was created for us. It is filled with abundance and it is magical if you don't understand what this place is. Our thoughts create our reality. Look at your life. It's your fault. Everything that you think, you attract. Your thoughts are magnetic, right? They don't want you to know that. So what they do is they literally put a globe over your head and they say, this is where you live, a world of limited lack and fear, okay? It's a prison for your mind. And when you're in that prison, you don't even see the bars, right? Because you're lost in there.
That is the intro to, if we can get that off, yep, the flat earth. I want to bring our guest in. Dave, Flat Earth Dave Weiss. Welcome to Truth with JJ Carrell.
It's Weiss like ice, but that's
Weiss. Okay. Did I just say Weiss? I'm sorry. I just asked him before.
It's all right.
Because I was telling the story of a great friend of mine in San Diego PD that has the same name and we call him Weiss. I'm sorry.
That's my
it's
nickname.
Weiss.
Like, people call me Weiss my entire life. They call me Weiss. So
I apologize.
It's all right. David. People are like, what do you like, Dave or David? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't distinct between either. So it's all good.
Okay.
You said a couple of things I want to address, but first, I just put together that we're connected through Ryan Matta, your business partner, my friend. God bless both of you. You guys are doing incredible work. I am an honor to speak with you. And anybody, all of my listeners, you got to follow their work on the child trafficking. I don't want to say problem. I want to say epidemic. Is that not even a good, what's the word? What would you call it?
Evil. The evil
in this world. And these guys are taking it apart like nobody else. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. First thing you said is right on your show here. Don't trust anybody or anything. I say, don't trust me. Don't believe anything I say. Verify everything. And when you do, when you take the time, if you could break out of that programming, then you'll see. Once you see, you can't unsee it. And the other thing is, you said for the last 3 months or so, or 90 days, you've been your head's been spinning. That's the only thing that's spinning, because the Earth is not spinning. The Earth is level. It's stationary. It's topographical. It's not going anywhere. And one thing that all flat earthers, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. One thing that all flat earthers have in common is they look back and go, how did I ever believe in the globe? Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Well, something you just said is what I say every single day on my show. Don't trust me. Don't take for what I'm saying as just, okay, JJ said it's got to be true. No. I want you to question everything that I say. I want you to go and research it, because when you do, you're going to go, let's say that you go and you're only able, there's 8 things, and you're able to determine 6 things that I said are absolutely 100% true, and you're still trying to get to the other 2. In your brain as an intellectual thinker, you have to think, well, why would he tell me the exact truth about these 6 things? And he's lying about these 2? Now I'm going to give you some credibility. Like when I listen to someone, I go, well, I can't really verify this last thing. However, everything this man said to me has been factually true, even though it makes your mind explode. So I think this is something great that you said, question everything, because anyone outside of our realm, meaning in politics, the globe, no one says fact check me. No one says that. When you listen to, quote, the experts, they say, well, you just need to believe me, right? Climate change. The science is done. Believe me. You have to get this vaccine shot. You have to. Just believe me. Don't look into it. This is where we're at. And Dave, I will tell you, let's say 90 days ago, I start looking at videos. You start popping up everywhere. So I text my good friend, our mutual friend, Ryan Matta, out of the blue. It's like kind of late at night. And I text him, I go, Ryan, because he told me about this when we were filming, and
Ryan's been sending you flat earth stuff here and there, just like over time. So
yeah, and I keep dismissing him, like, no, I'm not ready. No, that's insane. And then I text him and I go, is this flat earth stuff really true? I'm in a rabbit hole. And he goes, welcome to the rabbit hole, my friend. He goes, you need to talk to this man. And he said, you. And then I said, oh, I've been watching him. So he got us connected. So I'm very excited to have you on my show. And I want to give you some time, because before we dive into it, I want my audience to know who you are. Who are you? How did you get into this? And then how did you become the premier expert on flat Earth?
So I don't want to say I'm the premier expert. I'm just the guy with the loudest mouth that's out there the most. So I'm no dummy, but I'm not the smartest out of everyone. There's a lot of really smart people, researching this, and you don't need to be like super high IQ to see flat Earth. It's so easy to see. You have to be, I don't know you have to be super indoctrinated not to see it, but they've done a good job blinding us to it, because we are programmed with the globe from infancy. With you got a mobile of planets over your head in a crib, and you got NASA sheets, and Sesame Street has astronauts on, and every movie is globe. And in first grade and second grade, they teach you all of the globe nonsense. One of my earliest school memories was the teacher took us outside into the playground, got a rope and a bucket and water, spun it around, and said, "That's gravity." And as a little kid, I said, doesn't the water have to be on the outside? Because, if we have a globe, those water's on the outside. And the teacher goes like this, and he gets his book, and he shows me all these highlights, and he goes, "This is how they told me to teach it, so that's how I'm going to teach it. But you keep asking questions, right?" And then I went and played on the swing. That's it. And then 40 years later, I'm like, excuse me, I'm like, what? So how did I get into this? I was doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole out of New York City. And we're looking into all of the big deceptions, New York, Connecticut, Boston, everything. And people in the third year started sending me flat Earth stuff. And I was like, nope, delete. I'm like, you're annoying. Ban. I came up with ban for life. I just banned everybody from our social media that even suggested that I watch a 1-minute video. And then my friend Sophia Smallstorm, who did 9/11 Mysteries and Unraveling Sandy Hook, and she's like, "Dave, I think the Earth might be flat. You need to look into this." And I'm just like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" And then I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna." And I didn't go into it open-minded. I didn't go, "All right, let me see if the Earth is flat." I went into it going, "Let me disprove this nonsense, prove the globe, and shut all these idiots up." And for 2 weeks, JJ, I couldn't sleep. I'm watching video after video. And at that time in 2014, YouTube would go, "Oh, you like that? Here's another relevant video." Now, you just get propaganda. You just get nonsense. Like, it's like searching, is child trafficking really done by the government? Tell me what results you're going to get. You're not going to get your video. No, your videos aren't going to come up. It's the same. It's the same with flat Earth. So that's my journey. And then so as soon as I realized the Earth is flat, and then I went out and tested it. I went out, I bought $1,000 super zoom camera, tripod, went down to the beach. I actually had a perfect day, and I could zoom in on a buoy over 10 miles away. That doesn't seem like far, except 10 miles, there should be 60 plus feet of curvature, 60. And I could see the buoy and the water beyond the buoy. And then I said, okay, wait a minute. The curvature calculator is wrong. And I went to the debunking sites, and they're like, "Oh, no, you share the curve. You're halfway down, and it's halfway down." I'm like, "That's stupid. That's stupid, but I'll give it to you. I'll cut it in half, 30 feet of curvature." I could see the surface of the water beyond the buoy that I shouldn't be able to see. That's a problem, right? So then once I realized, okay, we're not on a globe, Earth is flat, I said, I can't talk about, this is like, I said, I don't want to talk about this on the podcast because we're going to lose all our listeners. That's the first and only time I thought listeners over truth. Okay. I was like, we built this podcast up, and I'm like, I'm going to but then one day later, I'm like, now I'm talking about it. And for the next year, we did a lot of that stuff. And then finally the podcast blew up. And I started the Flat Earth podcast, and it was the only podcast talking about flat Earth. And that went viral also. It was amazing. And so here I am talking to you today. I had just finishing who I am. I went to college, worked in corporate America. I was in the printing industry. Then I was in the solar industry, worked my way up in this big solar company, turned it into commercial company, left there, started my own company with a couple partners. And then my truth journey was interfering with my business journey. But I had everything I wanted, everything, the American dream. I was an entrepreneur. I had my own business. I had lots of free time. I was making more money than I ever thought. And then on the other side, I have my truth thing, which is totally distracting me. And my partners are like, you got to make a decision. And basically they threw me out, or one of them threw me out, but I made the decision to leave. They couldn't throw me out. So I made the decision to leave and leave all of that on the table. Thank God my father had passed away years before, because he would have talked me out of it. And here I am talking to you because this is the greatest decision I ever made. Because waking up the world to the truth this is what the journey you're on. I mean, you want to wake people up to something that they don't want to look at. It's the same thing here. It's the same exact thing.
Do you think that people don't want to talk about it because they are fearful of sound crazy? And let me give you an example. I came from church last weekend and had some friends. We all gathered outside in the courtyard of the school. It's a Catholic school tied to the church. And this one guy is wonderful. He's a businessman like you were, and he's very calm. And I leaned over and I said, "Hey, I'm going to interview this guy about the flat earth." And I whispered it. And I don't talk like that. I whispered, and he looks at me and he looks at his wife. He goes, and he cups his hand and he goes, his wife, Laura, I think Laura believes that. And I look at Laura and I say kind of louder, "Do you believe in flat earth?" And she goes, "Flat earth, 100%. And I'm like, holy cow. And then everyone around us is like, yeah, you can see him nodding. Yeah. But it's almost as if we needed the okay amongst our peer group to say, let's talk about it. Do you find that quite a bit?
Oh, well, I used to be like that, but now I get recognized in airports and all over the place. People are like, "Fuck Dave," and which I don't care about I guess you can call that fame or popularity, right? Whatever. I use it as a benchmark. Like, I hope everybody knows who I am. Everybody. Because when everyone wakes up to flat earth, this entire world is going to change. When I used to wake up people I called it exposing the big three. New York, that September day, Boston, Marathon Day, and the beachy school in Connecticut. And I was like, I can show people that these are complete and total garbage events. They're going to wake up, but people will see it, and then they just go right back to sleep. When you wake up to flat earth, there is not a day in your life that you don't think about flat earth before your feet touch the floor when you're getting out of bed in the morning. Every single day. It's in your mind. You're like, we're not spinning. We're not flying through the cosmos. I mean, the idea that, that we're on a spinning ball. This is a balloon, 127,000 feet. The earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour below it. Okay. 1,000 miles an hour to the east, right? It's spinning to the east, right? So we're disconnected from the earth. The earth is spinning to the east. That balloon it's up there for 3.5 hours. It should be 3,000 miles to the west, but it actually landed east of where it took off. How does that happen? Right? And the problem with this is people are not taught to think. They're taught to memorize and become a professor. You got a textbook, and let's say everything in the textbook is garbage. Doesn't matter. If you can memorize and regurgitate it, you get to teach the garbage to the next generation. Right? If you question it, like JJ goes, that doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get an A, and you're not going to become a professor. So people say, "Where's your degree?" My degree is in common sense. My degree is not in memorization and regurgitation.
Well, let me be. God, Dave, there's so much freaking questions I have, but I think this is important for us to have this pre-conversation, if you will, before we go into the nuts and bolts of what you believe, because I believe the story of who you are and what you're doing is as fascinating to me as the flat earth. And I let me make this one statement before I go on further. You said, once you begin to learn the earth is flat, you will think about it all the time. Damn it if you're not 100% true, because I've only been doing it for about 90 days, and I think about it every single day. Every single day I look up at the clouds and I think, damn, is this a flat earth or are we a globe? Is this a flat earth or are we a globe? Every single day. And I think, am I going crazy? And you and I talked about this briefly before coming on. Almost the same way. is when Ryan Matt and I did What is Treason Trafficked, and then when I talk about the open borders and I talk about NGOs and USAID and how the federal government funded all of it, there is a sense where I educate people and I tell them through books and documentaries and through interviews, and they still don't want to hear it. They don't want to know that the federal government trafficked children. And I would like to ask you, do you feel the same exasperation sometimes when you're talking about this topic? Like, I went in front of Congress and said thousands of children are being raped right now because the federal government allowed children to come in. Nope, I don't really care, JJ. Time's up. Boom. I write documentaries and write books. RFK Jr. comes out, says the exact same thing that I said, validating everything I said about child sex trafficking, and yet no one wants to talk about it because it does not fit inside that box that has been propagandized. Then, and my side of propaganda, Dave, is America is a great country. America is morally right. We're morally better than any other nation. And when you look at the statistical data about child pornography, raping children, hard narcotics, bringing in people to do our labor as slaves, that doesn't equate to a moral country. It equates to a country that's in moral decay, and people don't want to go there. Do you feel the same way, that people don't want to have to open their mind? Because if they believe the earth, or it's proved, not believe, if it is proven to them intellectually that the earth is flat, then their whole world changes and they don't want to change the world.
It's easier to convince somebody they've been lied it's easier to convince somebody what I'm trying to say. It's easier to convince somebody they've been lied to than I just completely forgot the thing. It's easier to lie to somebody than to convince them they've been lied. Is that the saying?
Way I see it is people just want. There's a significant percentage of Americans that just want to be left alone. They want to watch their TV. They don't want to know.
Oh, there you go. It's easier to fool them than convince them.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you so much. So they just have that brain fart. It happens.
Well, I believe that. Do you feel that with your subject of flat Earth? Do you feel that that's the intellectual disconnect that people don't want to admit it because it changes their worldview overnight?
People don't want to change. Change is hard. Change takes effort. And you have to change beliefs. And the globe was set into your psyche from before you can literally think or question things. You were told the earth is a globe as a small child. It's the foundation of your whole world. So when you discover flat earth, you have to rip that foundation out. But the truth is, if you're on a globe, you don't have a foundation. You're spinning out of control, flying through a galaxy. This is where you live. You're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, right? The earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour in a curved trajectory. That's not a straight line. That's a curve. Go in a car 1,000 miles an hour. No problem. Take a turn. You're going to feel it, right? So you're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. You're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. You can't even fathom that number. 66,000. You can't even fathom that speed. And then you're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour, never to return to where you were before, but none of the stars ever change. You don't feel any of that. This is what you have to believe. Be the lie, believe. And this is a place of fear, a place of insignificance, right? There's no atheist in flat earth. Now people go, flat earth is a religious thing. You have to be religious. I'm embarrassed to say it. I was an atheist, if you will, before I discovered flat earth. I believed in science. I believed in the Big Bang. I didn't really believe in God. Maybe you could say I was a little spiritual. But then when I discovered that we live in an intelligently designed system, I have no choice but to understand that there's a creator. So once you see flat earth, you can't unsee creation.
Okay, let's dive into that. Before, I think this is one of the major questions. I have two major questions. Well, actually, I have thousands, but two that are standing out in my mind. One is, do you find biblical references to this? And I want to keep going down that journey where you became a believer in God. because of flat Earth. Why? Is religion tied to it in some way? Is it proven in the Bible? And why do you believe there's creative, let's say, don't even want to believe in God, a supreme creator, someone of divine intelligence and ability?
Yeah. So if you're walking in the middle of, let's say your first day on Earth, you know nothing. You just dropped here in the middle of the Amazon and you're walking and you walk up to a 100-story skyscraper building. Do you believe there's a builder or do you know there's a builder?
You know right? You have to know that somebody built that. Right.
There's a verse in the Bible that says something like, I think it's Romans something, that once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence. And that's the truth. Once you see creation, that's why the evil ones, and they are evil beyond what even you and I realize, they want to destroy God. They want to replace God. And so they want you to believe that we came from a big bang. Once upon a time, there was nothing. It exploded, became everything. And then all the rocks came together and all the gases turned into gas balls in a space vacuum, which defies natural law. And then lightning struck and created an amoeba. And that amoeba turned into a fish and it grew legs. It climbed out of the pond, found another sexy fish and had a monkey. And that monkey had a human. That's what they want you to believe. Okay.
Oh, God, that's so perfect. You know, and I love this quote. It takes more faith to believe in nothing. Everything came from nothing versus our belief of, well, somebody created this. Oh, no, you're crazy. You're crazy. Yeah, you're right. A fish turned into a monkey, turned into a human. Boom, there we are.
Yeah. And right now, like my eyes, right? I'm wearing glasses today because my eyes are just tired. I'm looking at you. I can see you here. I can have a window here. I have trees. And then behind that, I can see clouds and sun. I could perceive all those distances, colors, shadows. I can sense all this stuff's going on. And that's all just random mutations from an amoeba, right? My eyes developed to be able to do all of that, right? Our eyes are proof of creation. Our body, everything is proof of creation. And we can get more into that. But the Bible is probably one of the most accurate historic books ever. You know, the earth takes shape like clay under a seal. This is the flat earth, right? Water needs containment. So we have a shoreline of our world, which people call the ice wall, right? And then Werner von Braun, who's the Nazi scientist who took over NASA, on his gravestone, all it says is Psalm 19:1, which reads, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." Why does our rocket scientist that runs NASA talk about the firmament? Why is that all it says on his gravestone? Right? There's over 200 verses in the Bible that talk about a stationary earth. None talk about a ball. And the Bible literalists will come out and go, what about Isaiah? It says the circle of the earth. Look up the definition of a circle. A circle is a line on a flat plane where all the points are equidistant from a center point. And later in the Bible, they talk about spheres, right? Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. Right? How could on a globe every eye see him? Now, again, this isn't proof. This is just lines up with a flat Earth. There's so many things. I created an app because of the YouTube censorship. I created this app. I first created it for myself just so I could show people how the sun goes around, makes a circle, makes our inner loop. We can go over this some more in a minute.
Yeah.
It has all the videos that you can't find on it. It has a daily video, and I give people a challenge. I have a 3 Bitcoin challenge, right? It was 1 Bitcoin when Bitcoin was like 20 grand, but then Bitcoin dropped down. So I changed it to 3 and I never changed it back. So now it's 3 Bitcoins, which is over $300,000 now. But I'm not worried about losing my Bitcoins because Earth isn't a globe. And the challenge is watch the daily video every day for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, if you can give me one proof that's exclusive to a globe, you win the 3 Bitcoins. It's simple. But there's none. There's none. There's so many proofs for flat Earth, and there's none for globe Earth. But the globe trolls, the ones that are either satanically possessed or paid, I don't know if there's much of a difference. They'll say there's no proof of flat Earth. I'm going to show you proofs today. I'm going to show you plenty of proofs today, and there's plenty more. But on here is a frequently asked questions page. And you could be like, hey, what about satellites and GPS? What about eclipses? Where does the sun go? These are all, there's hundreds and hundreds of videos in here that Google will not let you see. But I was bringing this up because there's a biblical section right here, and these are all biblical channels and videos, amazing stuff, right? This is a great compilation here, Biblical Flat Earth. There's some just amazing stuff. Marty Leeds does a biblical church service every Sunday live on YouTube, and you could watch it right there.
Well, where do you get what's your app name?
The app name is called it's long, Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, but don't remember that. The only thing you have to remember about me is flatearthdave.com. Flatearthdave.com.
Oh, okay.
Just go there, and the link, there's a big banner at the top. Click it, App Store or Google Play Store. It's just available there now. I'm working on a computer version, but it's just for for smartphones and tablets. So it's mind blowing. But the other thing I want to show you before I forget, on here I have all sorts of stuff. I have a friend finder. So this is going to show me all of the other users in my area, right? These are the other people that have my app. And I could click on one of them. I could look at their profile. I could send them a message. I can organize meetups. I could show you worldwide. People like Flat Earth is dying. There's a mass exodus from Flat Earth, right? There's nobody leaving Flat Earth. I mean, you could say there's 10 people that have changed their stance over the last 5 years, but there's hundreds of people a day joining. These are the people just here on the East Coast.
Dave.
Yeah. These are the people just on the East Coast that have it. And it's not just America here in the UK. Look at the UK. Crazy.
Wow.
And these are just, and now I think that my app represents less than 1% of the flat earthers out there, because there's so many people that have never even heard of Flat Earth Dave.
Now, Dave, let's stay on that on the Bible just for a second.
Yeah.
Talk to our audience of what if someone's not a big Bible reader, what is God talking about when the firmament? What is he talking? What is it what is a firmament?
The firmament, it says on page 1 of the Bible, God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament. So we believe that I believe that space above us is literally water. If you listen to NASA, everything is nautical terms, the Sea of Tranquility, ships, docking, it's all nautical terms. So there's a lot to that. But the firmament is what holds up those waters. Now, what's it made out of? In the Bible, it says it's made out of a crystalline molten glass. I don't know if that's true. It might be. It's definitely held up by air pressure, or that's something that holds it up. But again, anything where we can't reach or can't travel to is speculation. We don't need to speculate to prove the Earth is flat. That's easy. But on the Bible page on the app, there's a video called 200 Biblical Proofs. Just start listening. You can't lose. On the page, on the one that says Biblical Flat Earth, this one right here, one of the top videos there. It's only 7 minutes long. It's by my podcast partner Matt Long, who he made a video called Dear Pastor, 7 or 8 minutes, something like that. And it's a pitch to pastors showing them that they need to look into Flat Earth. It's so good. I watch it again and again and again. It's really, really good. And the only way that you don't know about Flat Earth is if your ego is this big and you refuse to look. If and JJ,
I agree.
You were that guy. You didn't look. Ryan said,
in fact, I was arrogant. My wife told me about this years ago. You know what I told her? Don't ever say that to me again. People will think you're crazy. That's a quote. That's what I told my wife. She reminded me the other day, and I go, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you a question from a biblical perspective. Does Flat Earth make you believe in God more, and why, versus a globe?
Well, does Flat Earth make me believe in God? Flat Earth forces me to understand that there's a creator. And here's where I come from. I used to be listening to, researching, truth for decades now, 3 decades at least. And I'd be listening to a podcast and like, these guys are good. And I'm taking notes. I got 3 pages of notes. And all of a sudden they go, let me read a passage from the Bible, or let's pray. Right. And I was like, oh my God, these guys are religious freaks. Throw the whole thing out, unsubscribe. That was me. That was me, because I was like, oh my God, now I can't believe anything they say. And now, I don't lead with Bible proof, but I could. Every single thing I could lead with the Bible proof, but that's useless to somebody that doesn't believe in the Bible.
Right.
Useless. So lead with the science and then say, and by the way, the Bible backs it up. Also. So what was the exact question?
The question is, so let's say and I've heard you say this before, and I'm going to paraphrase it into what I believe, and you tell me if you're aligned with this. When you look at in your brain, you think I'm thinking on a globe, like we're a globe. I'm thinking about the way I've been taught my whole life, a globe, and it's gazillions and gazillions of space. It's endless. To me, that begins to make God smaller. And it means God's farther away because he's dealing with a lot of stuff and over there and Pluto, and Pluto's a planet. It's not a planet. God's making these decisions. Then when you talk about flat Earth, and that's it, buddy, that's all it's contained. It makes me mentally, and I'm not saying I'm like you. I'm going to tell you the truth. I think I'm a smart guy. I'm not the smartest guy, and I never want to be the smartest guy, right? I don't want to know everything. Nobody can. I want to gain information, but I'm a great consumer of knowledge, and then my God-given ability God gave me was to lead men and make decisions. When I think of the flat Earth, it makes God very, very close, and it becomes very, very personal, meaning I'm looking up at the sky and there's God. Now, I know God's right here beside me, but in my limited thought, in my black and white way I think in law enforcement, there's God up top and he's looking at me. Holy crap. He's not 20 billion miles away. He's right there and he's staring at me.
So that's an interesting thing. I don't want to say I was a bad person. I was a good person. But when I understood that there's creator and is local and it's here and this place was created for us, I became a better person. I became more godly, and I started really paying attention more, and it's changed my life for the better in every possible way. But here's where I draw the line. Because of the way that I was, where anybody that mentions anything religious, I immediately discount everything they say. I know that there's a lot of people like that in this world. So I don't want to lead with God. I don't want to lead. Actually, I do want to lead with God. But right. I know that I want to help people. I look at myself as a stepping stool, right? If seeing God is up here, it's too high. You need a step down here. So I'm that step. I kind of bring them to flat Earth. And then once they see flat Earth, I was like, hey, by the way, you gotta believe in God now. And then once they see creation, that's where I draw the line. It's none of anyone's business what your relationship with the creator is. After that's your own journey. Now, if you're a Christian, there's a lot of great Christians out there, and there's a lot of really bad Christians out there that have pushed me away from looking into Christianity my entire life because they're too pushy. Set an example. Don't tell people what they have to do. Don't tell people you're going to hell. Don't tell people anything. Just set an example and lead by example.
I agree with that. I agree. Yeah. Okay, my last major question before we get in and you prove to me as a skeptic, I'm not a skeptic, but to a point I want you to prove. The big question, Dave, that I have, and no one I've watched your videos and I haven't seen it, or maybe I missed it. The question is simple, and it's the same question I ask about open borders, child sex trafficking, and it's the three-letter word, why? Why have we been propagandized in your mind to be forced to believe that we're a globe and we're spinning at 60,000 miles an hour around the sun into infinity? Yeah,
you showed one of the things I like to show is that we are incredible spiritual beings. We have incredible connections to everything. I used to laugh at people that believed in astrology. I'm like, Mars is in retrograde. Mars is like 800 million miles away, and it can't even affect our tides. How's it going to affect your life, right? But then when you understand that, wait a minute, Mars is an energetic, in my opinion, sentient light source here, very close to Earth. We're connected to all of the stuff. And we live in this incredible system where we have manifestation capabilities with our minds. Our thoughts create a reality. JJ, look at your life. It's your fault. Okay? It's
I
completely
believe
your
that.
fault. Yeah.
I believe that 100%.
So they don't want us to understand, how we how this system, it has a rhythm and we're part of it, right? They've changed our calendar. There used to be for 13 months of 28 days. Every month started on a Monday. Monday was the first, and Sunday was the 28th. And then that's 364, and then one day resets the year, and they go again. And that follows the moon cycles, right? So they don't want you to understand that if you follow those cycles, you can manifest your life any way that you want just by thinking, and following God's law. Don't steal, don't interfere with anyone else's free will, essentially, right? So they don't want us to understand how powerful we are. So what do? They put us in a prison, and that prison is the globe. The globe is a world of lack and fear and asteroids and nuclear bombs and running out of oil, and we're overpopulated. All of those are lies. Everything about it is lies, right? If the population was 8 billion, I think it's closer to 2. Every family could have a half an acre in Texas in the world, and the rest of the world would be empty, right? That's insane. That's insane. So why would they lie? It's all about control. It's about controlling your mind. And then when people say, well, who are they? Who are they? Well, these are the unelected people that run the world. You got the Council of Foreign Relations, United Nations, Bilderberg Group, Club of Rome, Royal Institute of International Affairs, and the Trilateral Commission. Those are the puppets that we can see, right? They're getting their marching orders from other people beyond where we can see, in my opinion.
Do you believe that evil plays a part in this? Because I believe this is the age of awakening, meaning everything's being challenged and everything is being questioned. And one of the things that I keep seeing as the reoccurring theme is the people are evil. This is good versus evil as well. Do you believe that when it comes to flat Earth?
This is a spiritual war that we're in. The entities that are running this world, they can be classified them as evil, but I don't look at anything as good or bad. We live in a dynamic system. This is an amazing place where we are. And evil can only affect you if you allow it with fear, false evidence appearing real, FEAR, right? So if you live in fear, that's how they can control you. But if you don't live in fear, and JJ, you don't look like a guy that's afraid of anything, they don't affect you. I asked you before the show, how much pushback are you getting? You're like nothing. Right? There's nothing. You're just doing your thing. You're not living in fear. You're following your truth. You're following, I'll call it God's will, if you will. What is God's will? Everyone should love everybody, right? It's all about love, spreading love and knowledge, right? Share knowledge, spread love, unconditional love. That's the thing. That's what it has to be. Unconditional. Now, I could not like people, but I was like, you know what? We call these people the anti-flat Earth globe shills, trolls, whatever you want. They can say or do whatever they want. Go ahead. I'm not interested in you. I just let them have their life, and that's their journey. We all have our journeys, and so do
you get pushback? Do you get pushback?
I get pushback from. I don't even notice it anymore. I don't pay attention to it. I hang out, birds of a feather flock together, Right. I hang out with good people. Listen, my brother and sister, we don't talk, right? We've never talked about flat Earth. They're so far asleep. I have nothing I can say to them, right? It's really sad. It's like I used to be able to talk about the weather, but the weather's not even real anymore, right? You can't even talk about the weather. It's all manipulated. It's like, sports, it's all fake. It's all nuts. What can you talk about with a normie? Can you tell me something?
Normie. Okay, that delivers right into. I think this is great. This is my favorite interview, and I'm not even halfway through it. Okay, now I'm your brother and your sister, or I'm just a normie. Convince me that I'm wrong and you're right.
So you believe the Earth is a globe?
Correct.
I know it's flat. What is your reason that you think the Earth is a globe? Go ahead, make something up.
Okay. Well, I won't make it up. The moon landing and the pictures back. I know. I know. I had to say that with a straight face. Okay, Dave. I'm role playing, Dave. I'm not a good actor. I'm trying to.
Lord.
I'm trying to.
And I want to point out something. Whenever you ask a globe believer about the shape of the Earth, they point up at the sky. They point up at stuff that you can't touch and just stuff that doesn't make any sense. But every one of these, like, I'll let you continue. But as Crow 777 Radio, one of my favorite podcast show ever, it talks about it. He says, belief is the enemy of knowing, right? You believe I live in Connecticut. I told you I lived in Connecticut. You'd believe it, but you don't know it.
Right.
You don't know it. It would take time and effort for you to find it out, but you probably, why would he lie about that? You store it as truthful information. Did you know that he used to be the president of the United States too? Years ago. But now you're not going to take any effort to verify that because you know it's fake. You stored it as fake information, right? But if I tried to convince you that it was true, I probably couldn't budge you off of that one because that one's a little crazy. But people don't want to take the time to verify things. It takes effort. True. It takes energy, and that's a problem. So once you go on down this journey, you start enjoying verifying things. Like, you know what?
Yes.
Anything you tell me right now, because of my ability to look at somebody, hear somebody, the tone in someone's voice, sense their vibration, you're a truthful guy. So it would be hard for me not to believe something you say. But if you told me something huge, I'd be like, it's probably true, but let me go verify it. Right. But then other people that you don't know, you kind of have a different filter on them. But verifying something is the key. So the moon landing. You really want to go to the moon landing.
So I saw the people fly in a rickety thing, and they landed perfectly, and they got on the moon. They looked and took pictures of the Earth, and it was round. That's why I believe in the globe. Come on, man. I teed you up. Prove I'm wrong.
So I'm going to go to the images section here. I'm just going to type in the LEM to start. So this is the LEM that they landed on the moon, the moon in, right? So two guys and a car were in this thing, okay? Two guys in a car. Let's take a closer look. Let's look at that. Is that paper mache and tinfoil and curtain rods? Look at these connections. Engineers, look at this. Right? Look at this. Let me ask a question. If your basement was sheetrocked like this, would you pay the guy? Wait, look at the little nozzles. Look, there's a little jet nozzle here. It's hard to see. That's a little jet nozzle right there. Right? Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Right? So let's it's crazy. It's crazy. Here's the moon buggy. Check this out. So they're driving around the moon, right? They went up there. They're driving around, right? This thing cost $38 million back in 1970 or whenever it was, right? Look at those beach chairs. They're broken. They're beach chairs, right? And look at this. This is an umbrella that you buy on the street in New York City when it's raining for $3, and they painted it gold. Right? This is insanity, right? But check this out. $38 million in 1970. With inflated dollars, you can buy this bad boy for $37 million today. Okay? $37 million in today's inflated dollars. $38 million for this Jeep chassis, beach chairs, and umbrella. Right? I'm going to show you. Now, everyone's seen the debunking of this, debunking of that, and then the debunkers come out. What's that? The two guys that debunk everything. I don't know. The Mythbusters. They love debunking the moon. Yeah, they're total paid. So here is a video, right? So let me just stop this. Right. So right now, where's the sun? Sun's over here, right? See the shadow? It's going that way.
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to just let him go, and it's going to start doing a little hippie hop, and the camera's going to pan to the right. The shadows are still, so we're just going to the right a little bit. We're not going that far. And here he is, and now his shadow is going kind of that way, right? And then he's going to go a little farther. We just turn a little bit farther, and now his shadow is going the opposite direction. How's that possible? It changed direction. How did the sun get over there? Right? Now, watch this. This is the middle part. So look in his visor. You see that you're going to see two lights. Ready? You're going to see two lights reflecting in his visor. 1, 2, right there. He's going to go. He's going to, when he turns, you're going to see two more. So there's only the sun on the moon. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lights. What's that reflecting? And the question is, maybe something like this? Maybe. It certainly isn't the sun.
Okay, let's say that everything that you're showing me is true, and which I'm gonna say yes. Everything, but the Earth is still round. That doesn't disprove anything.
So looking up at the sky doesn't prove the shape of the Earth. I asked you for exclusive evidence that supports a globe Earth, right? You're going to find during our discussion, things fall into 3 baskets. It works on a flat Earth only. It works on a flat Earth and a globe Earth. And it only works on a globe Earth. And you're going to find that nothing goes into that last basket. So do you have anything? I mean, I could start showing you flat Earth proofs, but what I found is you can show somebody 100 flat Earth proofs, but if they have one idea, well, the boat goes over the horizon from the bottom up, or the sunset over the ocean in California, if you don't cover that one thing, they don't believe anything that they saw. You were talking
okay, let's go to that. I lived in San Diego. I worked there for 24 years, and I actually the part of my area of operation on the border was the very southwestern point of the United States. And there were many, many nights because I worked swing shift, that I would sit out there and I'd watch the sun disappear into the horizon.
Into the horizon, not below the horizon. Very good. So let me show you first how perspective works, right? So this is what I call my flat Earth kitchen. I got my kitchen counter here. I got some stuff on it. And I have a line here, and I'm moving the sun along a line. Now, this could be mountains or it could be clouds, whatever. It's below the sun, and I'm just moving the line across across this level line, and I'm viewing it from a celestial point of view, the height of the sun. Now, I have a camera on the table on the other end. I'm going to show you it from the camera's point of view, from a terrestrial point of view. Same scene. Is this sun going down? Is this line tilted? And is it going below this thing here? Is it going below it? It's not. I showed you before. This is a zoom. Look at this line. If I showed you this first and said, is this level or is it sloping down? You'd say sloping down. So this is the sun going beyond your horizon. Here it is. Here's a real sunset. Here's the elevated look at what we're looking at here. What's this going behind? It's going beyond this atmospheric deck of opacity.
Okay, let me ask you a question. And this is from a skeptic ignorance, okay? Where did the sun go?
It went it goes literally around. I'll show you in a second where it's going.
Okay.
So here is a coin on a table, and it'll disappear from the bottom up. And that's because the camera is a little bit below the table. And well, when I'm standing at the edge of the beach, I'm not below the water, and I see the sun go below the water. Do you see it go below the water? Really? Really? Let me show you what you really see. Right? Where is it? Give me one second. It's flat earthers say the horizon always rises to eye level. It appears to rise to eye level. It appears to rise to eye level, but it literally is that horizon is thousands of feet above your head. So first, understanding what you see. What do we have here? Now, I put this picture together. We got a boat on the water, guy fishing on the dock, sun, clouds, you got a tree. And now your life experience tells you that the water is lower than the dock. The boat is
Correct.
sitting in the water. The sun is higher than the boat. You know that the sun is higher than the tree. It's just the angle that we're looking at it. So the question I have for you is, where is the 50-story skyscraper? You see it?
No.
Are you sure? It's taking up more than half the picture.
Yeah.
So I am in New York City looking straight up, and here's a 50-story skyscraper, right? I just changed the colors, and your mind can't see it. But now you see it. See it now?
Yeah.
So here's the sun. Let's say it's noon, and the sun goes over there. Now it's 1 o'clock. Is the sun below the horizon, or is it just blocked by the building?
In my mind, it's blocked by the building.
Well, it's clearly blocked by the building. Now,
Right.
How could you see it? Maybe if you went to the other side of the street, or if you went up, you'd be able to look over the building and see it again, right?
Right.
Okay. So just remember, beyond the building. So here's a perspective grid, which they used to teach us in school. And you got a guy, this is his eye line. And I'll throw this mountain in here. Let's say this mountain is 3,000 feet above his eye line. Here's the sun above the mountain. And the sun is just going to go away. Is it below the horizon, or is it just beyond the mountain?
I see what you're saying. It's just going straight. It's just
Going
being
beyond
blocked.
the mountain.
Yeah,
And it's
beyond
being
the
blocked.
mountain.
No, but this is clearly above your eye line. But what if this mountain was 30 miles away, right? If it was 30 miles away, it's going to look like that. There's the sun. This line right here, which is his horizontal eye zone, is 3,000 feet above his eyes, flat or globe. But it looks like it's at his eye level. And the sun goes away. It's going beyond that elevated horizon. Now, if we had the clouds in here, sun's up here above the clouds, these clouds are all wedging in due to perspective into this line. The sun just goes away again. Now what is this line? Is this line 3,000 feet above his eye line, or is it the height of the atmosphere wedged in there too? It's 10, 20,000 feet above his eye line, but it appears to be at eye level. The sun just goes beyond it.
And then circles back around.
It circles around. The sun makes a circle around. Let me just show you real quick. So this inner line, yellow line, is the Tropic of Cancer. Everyone's heard the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. They don't understand what it is, right? On a globe, the Tropic of Cancer is up here, and it's a circle around, and the Tropic of Capricorn is down here. It circles around, equidistant from the equator in the middle. So in June, the sun migrates all the way into here. And that's when we have our northern summer, because the sun is closer to us. When something's closer, it's higher in the sky. That's why the sun is higher in the sky in the summer. And it circles around. And then 6 months later, let's go to, where are we? That's July. July, August, September, October, November, December. So in December, the sun is all the way out here, and Australia is having their summer. Why? Because the sun is close and high in the sky. It goes right over Australia. The outer south has its summer in December, and we're having our winter because the sun is far away from us. So it's lower in the sky. We see it for less time. 6 months later, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 months later, the sun comes all the way in to here. And we
why is the sun changing?
Well, that's what this system does. You know, why is the Earth spinning? Why is the Earth orbiting the sun in the heliocentric nonsensical model?
So everything is so. All right, this dives in deeper.
Yeah.
So we're not circling the sun's circling us.
We're not moving. Everything in the sky is moving, right? We live in this system. Let me show you. Where am I? I'll just do it here. We live in here. This is a system. Whoops. Yeah, there we are. So we live in this toroidal system. All the luminaries are spinning around up here on these magnetic fields. This is the dielectric plane where we live. This gets more intense. There's tons of videos on this in the app. This is where we live. Everything above and below is non-physical that we know of, and we don't have answers. We're talking about the 1% physical plane where we are existing right now, where I can go over there and punch you in the shoulder, right? And you'd feel it. The rest is, above us. I don't think there's anything physical above us, other than the firmament, the lights in the sky. I don't believe they're physical. Excuse me.
Has anybody ever asked you when I look up at, and I've been to Fiji where there's no light pollution at all, like you're in the middle of the ocean and you can see the stars and there's literally billions of them. It's like never ending stars.
Yeah.
But every time that someone shows me some picture of space, it's always black. Why is that?
Yeah, because we actually sent a balloon up in Arizona, and at night, we sent up at like close to midnight, and we had 4K cameras looking up. Before it took off, it could see everything. It was a beautiful, clear night. Now, we're down on the ground where the atmosphere is the thickest. As it goes up, it's going to get even clearer and clearer as it gets above, where clouds could be.
Right.
So those stars should get brighter and brighter. When it hit 50, 60, 70,000 feet, all the stars were gone. Now, if you want me to explain that on a flat Earth, I can't. I could speculate, but it completely annihilates the heliocentric model, right? Because the stars should just be brighter and brighter.
Correct.
So here's something. Check this out. So I got my super zoom camera, and I can zoom in on this little girl and bring her into focus. And this guy would be out of focus. I can zoom in on him, bring him in focus, and she'd be out of focus, right? So I can zoom in on things at different distances, right? Move her back here. They're at different focal lengths. So if I brought him to focus and then I brought the camera over to her, she'd be out of focus and vice versa. And again, if they're both together, they'd be at the same focus. You with me?
Yep.
So why is it when I zoom in on the moon, I could bring it into focus, I can focus past it, I can focus in front of it, same with the sun, same with stars, same with planets. Why is it I can bring any one of them into focus, switch to another one without changing the focus, and it's still in focus?
Because they're aligned.
Because they're small, they're all here, they're all the same distance. We're told that stars are burning balls of gas in a space vacuum. Do you understand that breaks natural law? You can't have gas. Gas needs containment. If I said, come over for a barbecue, bring the propane, but don't bring a container, could you do it?
No.
No, because gas violently fills the available space. Except in space, it collapses, turns into stars and suns, right? Our sun is a tiny little star that burns 640 billion tons per day or per hour or whatever it is of helium and hydrogen for billions of years and doesn't get any smaller. If you accept it, that doesn't make any sense.
Correct.
Right. And helium and hydrogen defy gravity on Earth, except in space, they create gravity and hold on to Pluto. But when our moon comes around our Earth towards the sun, it doesn't speed up. And when it goes away, it doesn't slow down because of the sun's gravity. The helium and hydrogen gravity ball in the space vacuum uncontained. Right. It's all pseudoscience garbage to weaken your mind, because imagine if they taught us about electromagnetism and didn't teach us this gravity nonsense. Where would we be? The people would be inventing incredible things. Free energy. They're hiding free energy. They're hiding more land. They're hiding God. They're hiding resources. It's incredible. It's incredible. This is a star, right? Let's talk about the distances to stars. So NASA just announced that the Hubble telescope saw a galaxy, took a picture of a galaxy 13.4 billion light years away. 13.4 billion. Cool. But when we asked them to point it at the moon and show us the moon lander, they're like, oh, we can't. Right? They can't show us this. Now, they don't teach us about big numbers in school. We're going to learn a little bit of big numbers right now. 1 light year is 5.8 trillion miles. Right?
Dear
Do
God.
you know how long 1 trillion seconds is? If you watch my stuff, maybe you've heard me say this.
Yes, it's shocking.
It's
Please tell my
31,000 years. 31,000 years is 1 trillion seconds. I'm not sure the Earth is 1 trillion seconds old. Okay. So just keep that in mind. 5.8 trillion miles. The moon's 237,000 miles. Divide that into 5.8 trillion. It's 24.8 million times farther than the moon. 1 light year is 24.8 million times farther than the moon. But they saw a galaxy 13.4 billion. So you have to take 24.8 million times farther and not times that times 10 or 100 or a million. You have to times it by 13.4 billion. 24.8 million times farther than the moon times 13.4 billion. Your mind just melted. You can't process that number. You don't even have a calculator can do it. And they're taking pictures of galaxies. And you believe it. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And you're right. The correct phrase is your mind just melted. And it's true.
Your mind melts. When you start talking about big numbers, you know, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Okay. All right. So look, your picture overlaid is the Earth is a globe, right? I'm looking at it. Your picture, all your data was on a globe. If you look at the Earth on your bottom right, it's a globe. It's the Hubble telescope above the Earth. If you go back to your light year data,
yeah.
So you're saying this is the propaganda that has been given to us, and we've just assumed that we have been taught correctly for our entire lives. See, look,
this is just a fake image. I mean,
right. I understand that, but I'm just saying that this is the mindset that we've been propagandized for such a long time, that the Earth is round and we live in this endless, like 13.4 billion light years. Then if you believe that, then you have to critically think that that's not the end of the world, right? There has to be something beyond that 13.4 billion. So,
well, in the Helios nonsensical model, our universe is expanding at like 1 billion miles a day or 1 billion miles an hour or something. It's something stupid. Into what? Wait, space is expanding into non-space? You ever think about it?
Yeah, yes, I do. I think about it more now that I met you.
Here's the thing. If flat earthers know more about the heliocentric model than globe believers do, because if globe believers knew 1/10 of what we know, they'd be flat earthers, because the heliocentric model is the dumbest. I have a shirt I normally wear. It says, "You're not stupid," and it shows the globe. It's stupid, because it is. It's stupid, and that's why you can't figure it out. People are like, well, I'm trying to figure it out. I don't have a degree. I'm not good at math. You can't figure it out because it's stupid. It's nonsensical.
Okay, and I know where you're going on these next pictures, because I've seen videos of this, you talking about this, and that is probably one of the big questions people ask. Well, wait a minute. We've seen these pictures that they've taken from space of the blue marble in against the black nothingness. I've seen it. They've shown me that. Are you disputing the fact that they're taking pictures from space showing us as a
You
blue
mean this photo from the moon?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how much money does NASA get?
Billions.
$80 million a day. Okay. $80 million a day. Hey, JJ, do you think you could create this with $80 million a day?
I think I could. I
think you could create it with $0, right? Because check this out. Oh, that's not what I was trying to do. Whoops, the wrong one. I have one. Oh, where'd it go? I blew it. I had a great one where I changed it. Basically you can recreate that so easily. It's incredible. By the way, this is from 1 million miles away, and it's the backside of the moon. Why isn't it lit? It should be full because the sun's behind the camera. Because we got a full Earth. Why isn't the moon lit? Why is it a dusty, dirty gray ball and not a light like we see? I could read by moonlight. It's so bright.
And then, but again, I want to go back to the question, and maybe it's just my ignorance. Why are there no stars? Why is it just black?
Space is fake. Well, they say it's the aperture. You know, the aperture. You know, when they're looking at it, they have to set the aperture for the stars.
What?
That's what they claim. They say the aperture. It's, you know, you're looking at something bright. Well, one of our guys took an iPhone 4, stood under a street light at night, and could see stars beyond the street light with the street light blinding the camera. Right, with an iPhone 4. You think NASA could do better in space? So check this out. This is the 2012 image of Earth. Right, you got Florida, United States, Baja, right, Mexico. So here it is. And let's take a map of the Earth, and we're going to put that right where it belongs. So this is what we're seeing. You now have to believe the rest of this land is on the other side of this ball.
That's impossible.
Impossible.
I didn't even think of it that way.
No one ever thinks about it.
It's not even proportionate.
It's horribly. And so people are like, well, what about
And that's from NASA?
Oh, that's a NASA. This is a NASA image of the Earth, right? Here's the one I wanted to show you before. So this is the Earthrise image that they showed us, right? Well, I just changed it. I just made it, you know, Earth should be bigger. Wait a minute. I think there should be, Dave, I think I should be on the moon. I think we should have 2 moons, right? 2 Earths, right? I mean, I did this in like a free program. I didn't even have to get Photoshop to do this. And you just want to believe NASA? When we catch NASA faking being on the ISS, using green screens, wires, CGI, all sorts of stuff, catch them once, isn't that enough?
Okay, let me go down this road while we're here. So someone that I like and I don't trust anyone, right? I don't trust hardly anyone, but I like this guy, and my son likes watching him. Matt Walsh, okay?
Oh,
Big
boy,
Matt Walsh.
He loves the moon landing.
I know. That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
I was a huge, like, this guy's really smart. He's incredible. He thinks differently. He thinks kind of like us. Like,
I liked him too.
Everything. And then he came on a show, Joe Rogan, and said, absolutely, the moon landing happened. And I immediately went, dear God, I have to reevaluate my thoughts on him.
Doesn't that's horrible.
It's horrible. But he made this is, I think, their greatest rebuttal to people like me and you. If you are correct, meaning you non-moon landers, flat earthers, then the enormity of the conspiracy to cover up would be so great it would be impossible to contain. What is your response to that?
Yeah, that's not that many people are in on it. You know, there's all these people whistleblowing about all of the mistakes and proofs of flat Earth, and people don't care. People are too fluoridated and become human pincushions that they are unable to think. So there's not as many people in on it as you think. Astronauts have whistleblown. A Russian astronaut said the Earth is flat. No one's been to space. what's our guy's name? He several times he said to a little girl, Buzz Aldrin said, we didn't go. We didn't go. He said to a college auditorium, someone said, what was the scariest moment on the way to the moon? And he goes, it didn't happen. He's trying to whistleblow.
Right. Why do you think, okay, there's so many things to go down, but I'm glad you brought that up about Buzz Lightyear, Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah.
Why do you think that he is making those utterances? People will say, well, he's old and he's starting to have dementia and Alzheimer's and he's making crazy utterances. Why would he say this like that?
Sometimes I think it's revelation of the method where they always have to tell us what they're doing. So not to break through. Well, in this case, I just think that he's fed up. He, is letting it slip as best that he can. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not him, so I couldn't really tell you.
Right. But I'm in agreement with you that I don't think it needs to be 1 million people have to keep a secret. I don't believe it's that, because those same people are believing the same damn thing that we believed. Because we were told from propaganda is powerful. And when it is coordinated and everyone believes it, it just becomes reality, Dave. It just is reality. I question everything. I mean, okay, answer me this. Despite having better technology in 1960s than we do today, why have we not been back to the moon?
Because we lost the technology and it's a painful process to build it back again because we can't bet it.
I try to keep a straight face as I'm asking these questions, Dave, because it's asinine. Okay, you're showing me pictures. My son was 11 or 12 at the time, and we were watching the moon landing, and I didn't say anything. I just wanted to see his reaction. And he says, Dad, he always does it. Dad, can you pause this, please? And I paused it. And he says, it was a picture of Richard Nixon speaking to the people on the moon. And he says, Dad, how is the president speaking to the men on the moon through the wall jack telephone? Well, and I said, well, son, that's because the technology was so much better in the 60s. And he's like, Dad, that's absurd. And I go, well, that's my point, son. So
how old is your son?
He's 13 now.
Nice.
He doesn't want to talk about the flat earth just yet, but the moon landing to him seems absurd. And when you speak to that generation, this under 15, and you ask them, watch this and tell me what you think, they all think it's a bad movie. Like it's somebody's,
It's like a B movie, if that. Yeah. It's the worst. This was from an ISS live feed. You got this seam right here. I guess the Earth had a seam. I mean, this just shows that they're just taking high altitude footage and wrapping it around a sphere. But how could you have a seam on a live stream?
Okay. What is for flat earthers, or does it even matter that there are spaceships, that we have spaceships flying in outer space? Are they outer space, or are we believing they're in our atmosphere?
You said that with a straight face. That's very good. You're doing great. You're doing great.
I'm trying to be a good skeptic here.
Yeah. So first, let me show you this. This is an independent private rocket. This is the Go Fast rocket. Went straight up. Now we have an uninterrupted feed looking down. This is I have it a little sped up, but not very much, just a little bit. With no edits, where if it was NASA, there'd be 7 edits before it cleared the tower. And all of a sudden, if you listen to it, it goes kerplunk, like into like another medium, and it stops spinning all of a sudden. And that's interesting. But the interesting part is when it turns on its side, all of a sudden you can see the moon. There it is, right there. That's the moon. Earth is looking pretty flat. So what's interesting about this is it was done in Arizona, and the sun was over here. So it was like 11 a.m. in Arizona, right? Because the sun goes around, right? This is just a stretched out map. The moon was over Australia. So if we take Arizona and we put that rocket a millimeter above the Earth here. The moon's down here. How did they see the moon?
Well, they can't.
They absolutely can't, but they did. Hey, everybody, a quick message that I'd like to share with all of you. Our lives are filled with toxins in our air, food, and even in the information we're taught. Avoiding them all is impossible, but helping your body detox doesn't have to be complicated. That's where Masterpiece comes in. Just 5 drops under your tongue twice a day, and that's it. Super easy, super simple, and it doesn't even taste bad. I've tried countless supplements, and while generally I'm pretty healthy, I didn't really feel much of an effect. But with Masterpiece, it delivered noticeable benefits. Check out the podcast I did with Terry from Masterpiece, linked below this video, or you can find links directly to Masterpiece on my website, flatearthdave.com, or in the shopping section on the app. The key to health is to detoxify. Now back to the show.
What does the flat Earth look like on a map? I've seen you show this, and the maps are back from 1880s, 1838. Do you have a map of the Earth?
So again, we're not married to any map, but let's just show you right here. If I go to here, I just type in map. This is the map that's the most used map. This is the map that's used for navigation. It's called the Gleason's map. And here we are. You know, you got the United States, South America, Africa. And if you actually watch flight routes, let's talk about flight routes.
Okay, before you go to flight routes, can you go back to that picture for the audience, please? Because I know this is a question that everyone asks. Well, you're saying that the water could never stay contained on a globe because it would just, as 1,000 miles an hour, it would spin out, right? The water would spin out. Their rebuttal,
it would have to curve. It would go spin to the horizon.
Correct. But they're going to say gravity is going to keep it in place. That's their argument. My question to you as a flat earther, how's the water not rolling off the edges of the 4 corners?
Well, this is just that there's no 4 corners. This is just a cutout of the map, right? We don't know what's beyond the shoreline of Antarctica. Maybe Antarctica is like this. Maybe it's like this, right? Maybe this is the shoreline, and this just goes on and on and on for millions of miles. We don't know because we're not allowed to independently explore Antarctica. What if the world was set up like this? What if we lived here in the middle? This is the shoreline of Antarctica. Maybe it goes all the way around. Maybe there's some openings. Out here would be more land, extra territory, extra terra for short. Extraterrestrials live on the extra terra in the outer space right here on Earth. Again, we don't know what's out here. Maybe the firmament touches down over here. So all of this is biblical. All of this is scientifically possible. More land, more resources. Let me show you. And again, I'm going to preface this by saying we don't need to speculate what's beyond 60 degrees south to prove that the Earth is flat. We can do that all day long. But there's some interesting books on it. Excuse me. Interesting books and interesting stories. So this, let me find it. My Antarctica section. Where'd it go there?
Okay, my mind is spinning on that last picture you just showed.
I'm going to blow your mind right now, and this is the end. This is the end for you. Okay. by the way, why I'm looking at this, this is just videos of the shoreline of Antarctica, the 200-foot high, 300-foot high ice wall. This is the shoreline of our world, right? Guess what? Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Take all the continents in the world, and their average elevation, Antarctica is over double number 2. That would make sense if it's the shoreline of our world. It would make a lot of sense. The question is, what's beyond there?
How do we not know it's beyond there?
Well, they know, but we don't know because they won't let us go there. Admiral Byrd did Project High Jump in the 1940s or 50s, and came back, went on the news, and said, "There's more land on the other side of the South Pole, bigger than the United States, and no human has ever set eyes upon."
Really?
That's weird.
Why were we never taught that?
Yeah, well, that, and then 6 months later, he died in his sleep. That's weird. So that's interesting. So you're gonna like this. You're gonna like this. Oh, by the way, there's buoys all over the ocean, and they in the 40s they used to be called ocean satellites. So we didn't even get into satellites, but this is going to be interesting. So this is a ship tracking map. You can track ships all over the world.
Right.
On a ship, it says, all right, it's got this cargo, this captain, registered in this country. Gives you all the information on the ship. But then we notice some ships way inside of the shoreline of Antarctica, 730 miles. 730 miles, it's 1.9 miles higher than the ocean. How does a ship get there, right? Zoom out, we got another one, 905 miles from the closest water. How does an active ship get 900 miles inside of Antarctica, where it would be over 2 miles higher than the ocean, for one? Like if there was a river, like the Antarctica, it makes no sense. So how does a ship get in there? Right. This is a map that was found in a Buddhist temple. It was published in 1907, I think, in a Hawaiian newspaper, showing our world with all of these other continents out here. Right? If you look it up on Google, it'll tell you nonsense, right? So we started looking. I clicked on the ship, and it said this ship is 850 meters long, which is gigantic, 80 meters wide, and it's registered to the nation of Kiribati, destination unknown. That's all it says. No other information. So like Kiribati, where's that? So we started looking in the middle of the South Pacific. You can't even see it. I had to put a pin on it. It's a little sandbar. And do a little research into Kiribati. Now look at that's not how it's pronounced, but that's how it's spelled. Kiribati with a T. B and a T, right? So you do a little research, you find out that China, America, Vietnam, giving them tens of billions of dollars. They say that this is going to tie into what you do. Just listen to this. Giving them tens of billions of dollars of aid because it's a very important trade route. Why would a giant tanker need to stop at this sandbar? For what? What are they getting? Sand? They don't even have enough sand there for a giant tanker that size, right? So if we started looking at the ships that were actually pulling up there, and all of them had limited information, and their destination was either unknown or Christmas Island. Now, some people say another name for Kiribati is Christmas Island. But if you look into all of the stuff with Christmas and Santa and
that's a whole nother
whole nother show. So hang on. This is you're gonna start seeing where I'm going with this. So if you the Earth has time zones. If the Earth is a globe, it has 24 lines from the north to the south, dividing it up like sections of an orange, right? And as it spins, each one that faces the sun will be noon. You get your 24 time zones. But in reality, there's more time zones in the south than in the north. Makes no sense. Excuse me. But one of the time zones is a weird one. It goes down, over, cuts over 3.5 time zones, loops around. Like, that makes no sense on a globe. But what's weird is Kiribati is in this spot right here. I don't know what that proves. It's just in a very weird spot on the globe. You agree
Well,
with that?
why would you do that? It's like looking at an electoral map and saying,
Yeah.
wait a minute, you did this on purpose. You cut out, you're gerrymandering. So why did they gerrymander this?
Yeah, well, because on a flat Earth, you would need more time zones, and in reality, there's 19 time zones in the north, 24 between the tropics, and 32 in the south. Why would you do that on a globe? It makes no sense. They don't teach you this in school. These are the time zones. These are the real time zones of the world, right? So the question we have is,
Okay, hold on. I just want to make sure I'm right. So there's 19 time zones at the top
in the
of
north,
the globe.
the north,
in the north.
no, on a flat Earth. You got to.
This is a flat Earth, right?
This is
You're looking at flat Earth.
Well, no, I mean, I'm showing you flat Earth here, but in the south, so this would be the Tropic of Cancer,
Okay.
Tropic of Capricorn, and the outer south. We'll go. I'll go into time zones in a minute, but my point here is, we can get back to it, is what if it was an important trade route to the outer lands? What if they had ships and a trade route, just like we have trade route to China, to wherever, right? They're going from Kiribati is their port, and then they go out here to other lands where other civilizations are out here. What are they trading? Computer chips, weapons, children, tuna fish? I don't know. And how would you know? Because you just learned about this Kiribati today, just now. And
so you're saying ships, your explanation why ships are 900 miles into an ice block is because there's a navigation route to that.
Well, I don't think it's an ice block, right? So
you think they pass through the ice block, which is the outer rim that contains our world, our planet.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's something outside of that. We don't know, but there's speculation. There's something outside that ice.
So we started making videos about this, and without notice, they changed the name of Kiribati. So now when you type in Kiribati on Google Earth, it takes you to that island I was just showing you there. And Kiribati is really over here. And they changed the name completely. So it's now Kirtamati.
Why would they do that?
You tell me. They don't want people looking at it. And then if you go in, and start looking at the history of Kiribati, there's all sorts of nuke testing there. If you know about the nuke hoax, that's another red flag that they just don't want you going there. Have you looked into the nuke hoax?
No.
Another rabbit hole?
Yeah, that's a whole new rabbit hole.
On my
Dang
website, flatearthdave.com, scroll down, you'll find a banner that says nuclear bombs. Listen to those podcasts, and then you'll know nuclear bombs don't exist as described.
Okay, I have a question as a skeptic.
Yes.
Okay. We go to outer space and I take a picture of the Earth. Then I should be able to see what you're describing, right? I should be able to see.
Let's say we're in a gymnasium, right? Got, 30-foot high ceilings, 20-foot high ceilings. Now we spread that gymnasium to 20 miles long. Can you take a picture of the whole gymnasium?
If I'm out of space.
No, you can't. Where's outer space? There is no outer space. You can't, we don't get, the highest we've gotten, in my opinion, is 72 miles. We have NASA whistleblowers saying that the firmament starts at about 72 miles. The Go Fast rocket hits something at 72 miles. Nobody goes to space, including our good friend Elon Musk, right? I'm going to show you right now. If you didn't know who I was, and I showed you what I'm going to show you right now, and said, "What do you think of this?" You would say, just like the kid said, "It's a horrible B-rated movie," right? It's a horrible B-rated movie, but this is actually an Elon Musk rocket launch, right? Nothing is taken out of water. So we got this rocket. Now, this doesn't look that big. You can drive a Mack truck under here. This is gigantic. This is the rocket that's going to go to Mars. This is an actual launch by Elon Musk. So we got this little stupid pad here. Little fire comes out, right? Edit, edit, edit. We're switching back and forth. Look how slow it's going. This little fire is lifting up this multi-ton, 20 tons, right? And now notice the angle. I'm going to stop it for a second. The angle of view shows that it's not high because we're looking at the side of it, right? So it's going, and just try to discern how fast it's going. So here's the onboard. Now look at the smoke. How fast is this really moving? Now it's up pretty darn high, and now it's falling. It's falling, right? It's falling. Look how fast the smoke is going. Now look how fast the smoke is going. Is this falling, or is it something else? Oh, now look how high it is all of a sudden. This is not out of order. This is from a live stream. Now it's falling, and 3 engines are going to turn on. It's going to stand up. Oh, look how high it is again. It's going to stand up. Cameraman's going to get right underneath it with an edit. Ready, watch. It's going to fire up. 1, 2, 3. Cameraman edit, gets underneath it. 2 of the engines are going to burn out. Ready? 1, 2. And it's going to land upright with a whole bunch of CGI smoke. Ready? Here it comes, smoke. And it's going to land upright. And it looks like a penis. Just to throw it out there. Your cognitive dissonance is like, well, that's from Elon. It's got to be real. But that's not real. This is nonsense. This is what they want us to believe.
What is the argument against you? Like, say that I'm a true skeptic. What is the pushback on you when you say that's fake? What does the intellectuals on the other side?
They just short circuit and they're like, it can't be. It's just like Matt Walsh. You know, there's too many people in on it. You know, they can't do that. So let me ask you a question here. So this is the rescue from the ISS the other, couple weeks ago, whatever.
Uh-huh.
These look like pretty severe cable straps to these preliminary chutes. Now this thing is falling down at an incredible speed, super heavy, thousands of pounds, and these little nylon parachutes are going to slow it down, and they're not going to shred. Right? You throw a parachute out with too much weight going fast, it's just going to shred. But you got look at these ropes, okay? Right? So now here go the other parachutes, and again, look, it came out of this section at the top, right? This thing's falling. Why aren't these opening? And eventually they're going to open, right? You got these cables. Notice the cables. And it's coming down. I'm going to fast forward. Now, at one point, I'm fast forwarding here. It just kind of stops here. It's just kind of hanging. It's not even coming down, like barely coming down. But even from here, you can see the cables. But watch what happens when it hits the water. When it hits the water, where do the cables go? So I'm going to go just jump forward. Oops, let me jump back. There we go. Sorry about that. So it's going to hit the water. And then this is AI. This is just an AI rendering. This is live, though. This is from them. And by the way, the boats are out of distance here, but they got the drone there in time. So you can see the cables. See the cables. Where did the cables go? Now we get closer. Where are the cables? Where are the cables? Look at how beautiful and cinematic this is, right? This drone operator, he's awesome. The boats that are coming, they're still a mile or farther away, but somehow the drone got there, right? Where are the cables on the water? Now you can see the cable right there, and now it's gone. Where are the cables on the water? Where? Now watch when the boats. Oh, there's a little glitch too. Did I jump by it? Here, watch right here. Little glitch. Explain that. Where did the parachutes come out of? Where are the cables? There's 4 astronauts in here, or 3. Where's the opening? Now these boats are going to come in. There's no opening. There's no cables. Here are the boats over here. Somehow that drone got there is amazing. Right. They're not worried about getting the cables caught in the props. This thing's toasted like a marshmallow. How much more do I need to show you that all of space is fake? All of it. All of the agencies, they're all run by NASA. You know that all of the space agencies, NASA, JAXA, all of them, train in Florida with NASA. That's where it's literally a show. It's the theater of space, the theater of war. It's all theater, everything.
It doesn't even look real, Dave.
It's not real. Of course it doesn't look real. This is what they showed us, though. This is what they presented as real. Where did the parachutes come from? How come they didn't melt? Where are the cables? It's so bad that you can't see it. That most people are like, I can't process this information. Where's the opening? Now in a week,
hold on a second. Hold on.
Go ahead.
This is the actual video footage.
Yeah. You want to get into Katy Perry's launch? That's all.
But this looks just like a bad video game. Like it looks like a video game.
Yeah, it is. It's AI rendered. It's not real. I used to think they go out there, they stage the thing, and they drop it from an airplane, with nobody in it, and then they do the whole rescue thing. I don't even think they do that anymore. I think it's all done in studio, all of it. Oh, and then the dolphins show up in a little bit, right? I don't think it's in this video. There's dolphins. They had dolphins. Did you see that?
No, I did not see.
They literally had dolphins swimming around, like, oh my God, dolphins are greeting the astronauts. It's for the kids.
Okay, let's go back to that question that I asked an hour ago. There's the dolphins. I see.
Oh,
see them over there by the NASA.
Yeah.
Is that a dolphin? By the NASA symbol?
Maybe.
No, that's the parachute. Why, Dave? Why? Why are they doing this?
To hide God, to hide resources, to hide free energy, to hide your freedom, to hide more land, to hide everything. It's that literally to control you, because people would be out of control. They wouldn't cooperate.
Cooperate in which way? Being worker bees?
Being worker bees, being slaves to the system. They would, if you play on their ball field, you have to play by their ball field rules. And if you play with their money, you're controlled by their money. I think that Bitcoin is a control thing, but there's other cryptocurrencies out there that are not, like Monero and other privacy coins that are going to bite them in the butt. They really, iPhones are to control us, but I'm using my iPhone against them, right? We can use their technology against them. I mean, could you do all of the stuff that you do without their technology? No, of course not.
I couldn't get the information I needed, but I don't even know if the information is true or correct that I'm getting, right? I have to figure it out on my own and think critically. And I think that's the biggest thing that's missing in our lives is critical thinking. Now, I only have a few more minutes with you, and I appreciate you giving me so much of your time, too, because I know you're busy and swamped. I think I think your best contradiction or your best evidence that it's a flat Earth is the Earth's curvature and planes flying. and no one's able to square that circle, if you will, meaning a plane takes off from Los Angeles and it has to get to UK. Well, there's a curvature to the Earth that has to be in the calculations in order to fly, or you would fly straight off into space, correct? Am I simplifying that correctly?
That's very, just look at this. I was flying to Mexico. Pilot goes, we're about 125 miles out. We'll be descending and be there in about, X number of minutes. I'm like, oh, okay. He's got to calculate his altitude, his distance, how many feet per mile that he needs to drop. And that's what pilots do. It's called the rate of descent or angle of descent. But the problem is that's a flat Earth calculation. At 125 miles out, there's 2 miles of curvature. And if they don't calculate that in, they're going to fly over the airport 2 miles high. But it's a flat Earth calculation. It's a flat Earth calculation.
Has anybody ever said to you gave you an explanation to why?
Oh,
Are they going to say gravity? Is that what they're going to say?
They say gravity. I wish we had time to talk about gravity and maybe we could do a part 2. But gravity is the killer because it's a made up theory, and electrostatics explain everything and is testable, provable scientifically.
What?
Gravity? Want to talk about gravity?
Yeah. God dang, Dave. I mean, it's not a rabbit hole, Dave. It's like you're unpacking a package you got, and all of a sudden it starts expanding. That package begins to expand and expand and expand, and you're like, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to understand the planes flying and landing on a globe without flying out to space, and you're telling me there's something called gravity that keeps them there. Then we go into gravity, and then what's beyond gravity that we got to discuss?
Let me. I can do gravity in 2 minutes for you, but let me just show you this. New Zealand's here. Got Australia around the corner here. You got San Francisco. So this flight wants to go from New Zealand to Argentina. Well, FlightAware says right here would be a little curved line they make. That would be the shortest. But it goes all the way up to San Francisco, all the way over to Texas, and then back down across the equator again to Argentina. Why would you go across the equator if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, going to somewhere else in the Southern Hemisphere, right? If we look at it on a flat Earth map, New Zealand, San Francisco, Houston, Texas, and Argentina. What did your mom teach you? Shortest distance between 2 points?
Straight line.
There it is. There's hundreds and hundreds of flight routes that will absolutely only make sense on a flat Earth. Emergency landings where the plane has to land because someone has a heart attack or whatever. And they where they land is impossible to get there in the amount of time that they did if the Earth was a globe, but it's always a point that would be on the straight line on a flat Earth map.
I saw a video. I don't think it was yours. It could be. I was just doing some more show prep late last night, and there was an interview of a gentleman. I believe he was a pilot from the continent of like Asia, like China, Japan, Korea, something like that. And he said, "I've been doing this for 30 years, and the Earth is flat." And then he went back in his cockpit.
There's so many pilots. On the app, there's a pilot section on the FAQ page. There's tons of videos of pilot testimony. There's all sorts of stuff. There's there's one of the videos called "Flatten the Curve." I'll show you where to find that. And it's military pilots and regular pilots talking about how all of their weapon systems and everything only works on a flat Earth. If you watch it, you will be a flat earther. So don't watch it if you can't handle being a flat earther, right? That's just the bottom line. So here's a flight from Hong Kong. It was going to the UK. It had to stop in Germany 12 hours later because 4 hours into the flight, a mother sitting with her entire family, little kids, died. And they had no place to put her, so they kept her in a seat. They flew for 8 more hours and didn't land with a dead mother next to your kid. Could you imagine sitting next to your dead mother as a kid or anybody, for 8 more hours?
No. No.
Why didn't they land? The answer is because they were over Russia. Right? And two things would happen. If they landed, Russia probably would have been very helpful, and that could have sparked world peace, but we can't have that. But the problem is, if they landed in Russia, we'd say, see, Earth is flat, and we'd prove it to them. We'd prove it, so they couldn't land. They couldn't land in Russia. They were over Russia because the Earth is flat, period. So let's go.
Let's go down gravity.
Gravity real quick. So
come on, Dave.
Gravity is just a theory. It's just an unproven theory, and it's nonsense. And 96% of it is made up of dark matter and dark energy that no one's ever seen. The reason they made it up is because it has to exist if gravity's real, right? So that's like, hey, if you lent me $100 yesterday, I said, I'll pay you back tomorrow. And then today I gave you $4. I go, here, we're even. You're like, what? I'm like, don't worry. The rest are dark dollars, but they're there. Don't worry, right? That's gravity. So here we have some leftover helium balloons, right? And I got a button, and it's just off the floor by a couple inches, neutrally buoyant. Now, the flat Earth, on Earth, the ground is neutral or negative. Excuse me, this is my voice. The last interview of the week, and the sky is positive, so anything above the ground has a positive charge to it. So this wire goes to a Van der Graaf generator, and we're just going to add a stronger positive charge to this button. And when we do, it goes down. Now, do we change gravity or do we change the electrostatic potential? So now we're going to negate it, discharge, it goes back up. Okay, that's one test. Here we're going to put a negative charge in. It goes up. Negatives push against. Turn it back on. It stays up. Now, this is from MIT. It's the silent drone. It has no moving parts. It flies on electrostatics. You know, the triangle aircraft, I think it's the XRT-3B or something. They disclose that it flies on electrostatics. It lifts and propels itself using this technology. No moving parts. Are we defying gravity or are we defying electrostatics? So here's the question. They tell us that the electrostatic force, which we just tested and proved scientifically, is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. These are the mainstream science. Now, I don't believe them. I think they're full of it because first, gravity doesn't exist, but let's pretend it did. It did. 10 to the 36 stronger. We just proved that when I drop this, it falls down because it's more dense than the air, and the electrostatic charge says go that way. So if it's 10 to the 36 power, remember how big a trillion was? That's 10 to the 12th, right? So if you took a trillion times 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000, I think we're at the 18 zeros. We got to keep doing that to get to 36. Basically, we're proving that gravity has nothing. Why would gravity be responsible for something that's 10 to the 36 less powerful than provable static force? Do you follow?
I do. Do you believe this is the day of the age of awakening?
Oh, it certainly is. Absolutely. It's the apocalypse. Everything is coming true. People talk about the pole flip. I don't believe that we have a north and south pole like that, but it is the pole. It is the polarity switch. The negative ones are in power now, and we're going to have a pole switch where the positive ones are going to come into power. And so the energy of the world is changing. People are waking up. It's amazing how many people are waking up all over the place. It's incredible. Just taking a look up, going back to on the friend finder. I'll just go to the world view. It's incredible how many people there are. Australia, there's people everywhere waking up to this. It's It's incredible. I showed you that before. And the other thing is, have you looked into the old world?
When you say old world, what do you mean?
Wow, JJ.
Oh, you're talking about the buildings?
Yeah, the buildings, everything.
Yes.
If you hit
I've already, I've started that one too.
On the app, if you hit the Tataria button right here, which is the old world button, it's a Griffin button. There's some amazing stuff here. This video right here, this section, our history in a different view. If you watch it, you will never be able to walk outside again and go without going, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? My whole life. I've lived here my whole life and I never even saw that. Do you watch My Lunch Break?
I don't.
This guy is killing it. He's going to be the biggest thing out there. My Lunch Break is on every platform. You can find him on YouTube. You can find him on my app. You can find him everywhere. Just start watching a couple of his videos. It will blow your mind. You'll never be able to walk outside and not be in awe of buildings in your own town that you didn't realize. It's incredible.
I've started to go down that where people show pictures of buildings that are so intricate, so beautiful, so perfectly aligned, impossible during the chisel and
it's impossible
horse
today. It's impossible
today. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible what you can see. There's a video I featured recently about the building of Yankee Stadium. It's hysterical. Have you seen that?
I saw that, and where was that you?
Yeah.
That was okay. Gosh, I've watched so much, and you shut down AI. AI had to admit to you.
That was another. I showed that video.
Okay.
The guy, the AI quit. He couldn't. But I've gotten AI to quit also on a whole bunch of things. On my YouTube channel, DITRH, which stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, I have a whole bunch of recent AI videos where I trap it. I learn how to I was like, hey, if something's falling in a vacuum, does it speed up? I get it to admit all these things, and then I apply it to the earth, and it tries to backpedal, it short circuits, and it hangs up. It's amazing.
Well, here's what I like to finish with is just to say, first off, thank you very much for giving me 2 hours of your time.
Oh, that was 2 hours? Wow.
Yeah, I don't believe that we go backwards from this, meaning I don't believe you watch this or you're like me 90 days ago and you begin this journey, you don't start to regress unless you are adverse to truth and critical thinking. Then you will shut down. And there will be those people. But I want to end with this, though, Dave, and this is what I find to be the most ironic of everything. And I would like to ask you if this is true to you, being a former atheist. For our whole lives, I'm 56. For my whole entire life, I heard the mantra, you're a Christian, you don't believe in science. And now science is now proving the existence of God. Do you believe that?
100%. Absolutely. The Bible is the most incredible scientific book there is, and historical book, once you start really, really looking into it. So you said you don't go back. Once you go flat, you don't globe back. That's the saying. and people say, Dave, why, with all the trouble in the world, poverty, child trafficking, why are you talking about flat earth? Because it's the foundation of the lies. This is the one that disconnects you, that makes them get away with everything else. No flat earther believes any of the nonsense that's going on in the world. 99.9% of us are not human pincushions, right? We can see through it. So once you see this lie, the globe lie, you unplug, it's life-changing. It's life-changing.
I will agree to that. I grew up a very optimistic man, as my father was, and I became not a skeptic, but I just became a realist over time. And I have been looking at things and asking myself a simple question, and you've asked this several times: how did I believe this before? How did I believe that illiterate peasants built the most incredible structure of the pyramid, and that there was no more pyramids? Well, no, there's pyramids all over the freaking
Have you seen the Bosnia pyramids? They're way bigger than Egypt's. They're incredible. Yeah.
And there's no other explanation except there was and it proves the Bible, that there was another civilization and God destroyed it.
Yeah.
And now we're finding remnants of it. And you know where to hide the truth, Dave? And you know this better than anyone. The best place to hide the truth is in plain sight. Right in front of your face. And you're like, well, no, of course of course, in the 1800s, where we had horse and buggy, we built this hotel that houses 5,000 people, and there was only 1,000 people living in that community. What?
Oh, it goes deep. It goes super deep. If you're brand new to this, there's a movie called Old World Order. You can find it on my website, flatearthdave.com. Just watch it. It's free. You might be able to just search for it and find it, but YouTube, Google doesn't usually allow that. And that'll be a great intro into the old world. But my lunch break is all you got to remember. The Tataria section on the app has literally, I say years because it just leads you down deeper and deeper rabbit holes. The beautiful thing is, people like us, there will never be a day in our life or a moment where we're bored, ever.
No,
it's over.
It's over. That day, I feel that way. And I don't feel overwhelmed at times, but I do feel a little overwhelmed when you begin to go down this, because my overwhelming feeling is I don't have enough time. Right. That's a perfect example. This is what history taught us, and this is what it was.
It's incredible. Like, we think we're at the pinnacle of civilization. We are literally in the ending credits of the movie Idiocracy right now. It's amazing. Have you ever watched Idiocracy?
Yeah. We are. But again, Dave, they hid it in plain sight. They hid it, and they told us a lie through propaganda. I said this in the beginning. We're seeing the transition of sexual perversion and making it normal. And all, it doesn't matter you believe and whatever, but where are they starting? Where do they have to be? They have to be in the schools. Why do they have to be in the schools? Because that's where the indoctrination and the propaganda has to begin. You can't propagandize people like us in our 50s. It's not going to happen. We're already set. You propagandized us decades ago to believe that a bunch of in 1700s or 1300s or the 1200s or the year 100 built something like that. That's absurd, Dave. It's absurd.
For those of you that are new to this and you're still tuned in, God bless you for staying this long. Start slow, right? Don't Google flat Earth, because it's like Googling are the things that they give us to stick in the arm. Is that good for you? You're gonna get nonsense. Go to my website, flatearthdave.com. There's the crash course. To scroll down, you'll see a picture of me. It says crash course. Click it. There's a list of documentaries. I challenge anyone to get through the first 3 without giving up the globe. It's impossible. It's impossible. The only way to stay a glober is to close your mind, close your eyes, and do not look. But if you look, and it's all for the better. I've lost friends, but I've gained a whole new family. It's amazing.
And you need to have like-minded people, but like-minded people that will test you, Dave. Like, when I go on a podcast or I get challenged, I love that when someone says, oh, you don't want to be challenged. No, I want you to come challenge me on my beliefs on immigration, what has happened, who has created it, how did it happen, and why. I'm going to tell you why. Now I need you to either counter me or agree with me. Now go. And there's always silence. And my last question to you is that what you get now, Dave? Do you just get silence after the horrible vitriol and name calling? Is it just silence because they don't have anything to come back on you? Does that happen to you as it does with me?
Get the fluoride stare, I call it. Right?
Yeah, silence. I just call it, there's dead silence. I always say, okay, I give you everything that's happened on the border, child sex trafficking, what our government did. You don't like my conclusion, but all my data is correct. Okay, why don't you give me your answer to why this has happened? Silence. Silence. And I let that hang for about 5 seconds, and I say, silence says a lot, doesn't it?
So to say that flat Earth is more important than child sex trafficking is not a fair statement, but it is the foundation that allows child sex trafficking to happen. It allows everything to keep going, because if you're spinning out of control, lost in space, in a deluded, God at best universe, you are not going to be able to live to your full potential. If you think that we live in a world of lack, a world of fear, that's the world that you're going to live in, and that's not the true world. So we need to take it back. To find my interviews, you can go to my website. There's a interviews tab on. A lot of people don't realize on the app, if you go to the more resources button, which is the web button, if you hold down any button, it tells you what it does. There's a interviews tab right here. So if you click that and it goes to that, these are all of the interviews. And as soon as yours goes live, it'll be at the top here. This is a great interview. This is a PhD. We interviewed.
I did. I watched that.
Yeah. To watch the whole thing.
I did. And he had no answers.
He was actually finishing our points for us because he was smart. It was super refreshing. And I've done over 1,400 interviews since 2020. Really? Yeah. And that's why.
Here's one thing I want to tell my audience, that with your interview style, which I found refreshing, because there's a lot of controversy, what you're talking about. There is never any yelling. Like when I watched that last one with the physicists, I went, okay, there's going to be a heated debate. You do something that is brilliant, and I do it too, is you just lay out the facts and you say, can you explain that? Yeah. And you just let it hang. And you're right. That physicist, when you watch this, my audience goes and watches this physicist actually agrees and answers your questions, or he's intellectually honest enough to say, I don't have a rebuttal. That does not make sense. And I was like, wow, okay, this is how you have discussions. But the other side has to be critically thinking honest, right? Meaning they can't have an agenda. They have to have an idea of what they believe in, a belief, but they have to be open to hear. So if someone had something different for child sex trafficking and said, JG, you're wrong, this is what's happening, I would at least listen and then have to verify. So that was a fascinating interview. And I like how you don't argue. You just say, explain this to me. Explain how no pilots have any kind of equation to put the slope of the globe into their calculations. Go ahead, explain to me. And there's silence. It's always silence.
Here's pilots and astronauts, all sorts of stuff. And if you scroll down a little bit, this one here is a 3-hour video, 28 pilots confirming flat Earth. The problem is with pilots is if they admit it, they get grounded. We interviewed a KLM pilot, and next day she was grounded. She's really is flat. Absolutely. Explained it scientifically, calculations, equipment, everything. Next day she was grounded.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, go. We'll have all your links up there, Dave. Dave, I can't thank you enough for giving me so much time.
You're welcome. FlatEarthDave.com is the only link. Just go to my website. All my socials are there. Follow my socials. Fill your feed up with stuff. And don't believe anything either of us are saying.
Yes.
Research everything. I give you all of the resources. One of my favorites on the FAQ page is Why the Lie. Such great videos there. Worth the cost of the app, $3.
All right. I'll get the app when I get off this. I will have that app, and then I will be down that rabbit hole I'll talk to you in years from now, Dave.
Right. Just a heads up. So sometimes people are like, you didn't mention that the app's $3. You get 95% of everything. But if you want to be able to message people, if you want to be able to use the flashcards or something like that, there's a subscription, which is $11 per year, one time. And you can also get that for free just by referring the app to people. But I have over 200 flat Earth proofs, one by one.
Wow!
You can just swipe in between them. Like this one here has a link. If that shows up, you click the link, it'll take you to a video that gives you more information about it. So
wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I just added this recently, and more and more, I'm adding more and more links, so they'll all eventually have links on them.
Wow.
Yep.
All right, I'm on it. Everyone go to Flat Earth Dave's website and get his app.
FlatEarthDave.com. Flat Earth Dave. All you got to remember.
That's it.
And follow my socials. Follow me on X, Flat Earth Dave X. But if you forget that, FlatEarthDave.com, everything's there. It's all there.
This has been an incredible interview, my favorite of all time.
I appreciate that.
You're blowing my mind. Yes. And there's so much to think about. There's so much to question. And I will end this with question everything and trust no one. That's the truth. Dave, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And I hope we can come back and maybe get into maybe a very narrow topic of flat earth, like gravity or just pilots or gosh, I don't even know what, but just something that'd be great.
Just as I'm sure it happens to you, the trolls will show up in your comments and they will leave comments. They'll say Dave's app uses globe coordinates. Dave's app is leaky. This, all this crazy stuff. But they'll never offer a flat earth proof. Never offer a flat earth proof. A globe proof. Sorry, a globe proof. my bad. And if you look at their channels, all of the nasty comments, they're empty channels. So they're either bots or trolls.
Well, let's say that, let me just say this. If you don't believe in what Dave's saying, that's fine. But disprove just one thing. Like we talked about planes. We talked about flight patterns. We talked about the moon landing. We talked about a lot of things that you can disprove. Go ahead, disprove one of them. I dare you. I challenge you to do that, and you're not going to be. It's common sense. And again, Dave, they've hidden it in plain sight. That's the beauty of what they've done, is they hidden it in plain sight. And the other thing they did is they made us question everything so we don't know what's true and what's false. And that's how they win. 100%. Dave, thank you so much, man. What an incredible interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jay.
All right.
Hey, everyone. If you enjoyed this interview, please help support my work and help wake up others by referring or gifting the app to at least one person today. By doing that, you're going to help wake people up and help me to continue doing other interviews like this. With the censorship out there that's going on, it's very difficult to find relevant information. And the app, as you know, brings people to the truthful information of our world. So help support my work, help support your efforts in waking up friends, family, and strangers. Gift them the app or just recommend the app. And let's make 2025 the year Flat Earth breaks free. Check the links below for information on how to gift the app or just refer the app to others and use your referral code to earn Dome cryptocurrency and a free subscription. Thanks.